Oh, what a show we have. Hour 2, we have America's Governor, Ron DeSantis. Of course, we have Iran to talk about. A lot there to talk about, and I'm curious to know what you think. But before we get to that, I see a column in USA Today. The most beautiful part of Trump's bill is it helps him defy federal courts, by somebody named Chris Brennan. You see, the position of the ruling class establishment, and that includes the media, whenever I use those phrases, it includes the media. Their position is if you defy them and their agenda, then it is you who's defying federal courts, defying the Constitution, and threatening our country. Over the course of the weekend, starting Friday and up to this morning, we've had 3 of these federal rogue district court judges doing what they do, claiming a role in how this country's policies and agenda are to be set. They're not legal courtrooms. They don't deal with legal issues. These are policies dressed up as legal issues. And they're more than happy to participate in this because they're not subject to you, the voters. They're not subject to the consent of the governed. That is you again. They're not subject to anything. They've seized power that does not belong to them. Seized it. And the Supreme Court still has done nothing effective. Now, their term usually ends by the end of June, so we'll see if they do anything effective. They'll probably confer some form of birthright citizenship as a constitutional matter on millions of people. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I want to get to this point. This guy writes, federal judges keep issuing orders blocking some of President Trump's actions. Look how he understates it. Federal judges have issued scores and scores of orders, the vast majority of which have blunted President Trump's promised policies on which he was elected in a landslide. He says, not because there's some judicial conspiracy to thwart him, but because he clearly doesn't care about following the law. Got it? So Donald Trump's not following the law. And what's interesting is most of these judges, we don't even know what laws they're talking about that he violated. It is they who are violating immigration law. It is they who have decided what belongs on the websites and departments and agencies. It is they who've tried to block the executive branch from executive branch data, and on and on and on. He writes, in case after case, lawyers for the Trump administration play fast and loose with the facts, trying to game the system to circumvent the authority of the judiciary, a co-equal branch of government with the presidency and Congress. How have they circumvented the judiciary? Trump's Republican allies in Congress, I want to get to this, and it's important, are trying to help him hobble those judges, slipping into oxymoronically named One Big Beautiful Bill Act that passed in the U.S. House on May 22, a short provision that would hamper judges from enforcing, quote, contempt citations for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order. Now, this guy is such a low IQ partisan buffoon. He doesn't explain to his readers, all 7 of them, that Congress created these judges and these courts that he's whining about, that Congress has jurisdiction over them and can take any aspect of their jurisdiction away from them, can defund them and close them down altogether. It would be utterly and completely constitutional. That's the way it's set up. But if you read his piece, and you're a typical left-wing, low-IQ moron, you'd have no idea. And to me, it's about time Congress is asserting its constitutional power. He says those are exactly the type of recent rulings that have so enraged Trump. It's not just enraging Trump. It's not just about Trump and emotions and all that. It's about the Constitution. Says the bill doesn't just stymie judges going forward, it would apply retroactively the rulings already in place. So what? The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, he writes, which passed in the House by the narrowest of margins and now goes to the Senate. So what? Now it doesn't matter. It's called majority rule, you jackass. The narrowest of margins, isn't that what they did when they destroyed our economy? With their barely majority Democrat in the Senate and the House? It's a budget package that offers tax cuts for the wealthy. See where this guy's head is? Ending Medicaid health insurance coverage for millions of low-income Americans. No, it doesn't. For illegal aliens, Americans who are both mentally and physically fit to work, requires them to work 20 long hours a week in order to get free health care. One paragraph on page 562 and 563 of the 1,116-page bill. So this guy's basically burping up what the leftists told him because you know he can't read. Not 1,116 pages. Raised alarms for reasons that have nothing to do with America's budget or safety net programs or debt. That paragraph invokes a federal rule for civil court procedures, requiring anyone seeking an injunction or temporary restraining order to block an action by the Trump administration to post a financial bond. Want to challenge Trump? Pay up, the provision said. Excuse me. It only applies to Trump. It doesn't apply to a future Democrat president. Moron. It applies, period. And what they're trying to do, and by the way, it's often done in European courts in civil cases, is that the loser pays. The defendant, the plaintiff, the petitioner, they pay. Erwin Chemerinsky, who they go to, this idiot, this dean of the Berkeley School of Law, University College, called it unprecedented. Now, what's unprecedented are what these judges are doing to our country. Greatest impact will be in preventing enforcement of all existing temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions. If a bond has not been posted, and rarely were there bonds required, he wrote in an email, the many components of the One Big Beautiful Act received great scrutiny, but the restriction on legal challenges has received less. Loser pays, again, is a fairly common position in courts throughout the West. Again, throughout Europe. In America, we don't have it. So what the administration, I think it's in support of this, but what the Congress, the House is saying is, look, you got to put up a bond of some kind. You got to put up some money. So if you lose your case, then you have to pay for the case because you're filing case after case after case. And by the way, these aren't poor people who are filing these things. These are attorneys general of various states. These are wealthy public sector union bosses. These are all kinds of groups that are very well-to-do and have multi-billionaires behind them. Let's keep going. Trump isn't alone in raging against federal judges who insist that his administration does follow the law. That disdain of judicial oversight trickles down through the ranks. So he goes to the vice president who makes the point correctly. Another Ivy League trained lawyer, U.S. Solicitor General John Sawyer, refused to commit to the Trump administration obeying federal appellate court rulings when he was questioned by a pair of U.S. Supreme Court justices. I've explained that, but again, this columnist is a moron. So this columnist would have supported the Circuit Court ruling in Dred Scott and the Supreme Court upholding the Circuit Court ruling. Moron. And Plessy versus Ferguson. Moron. And Korematsu. That's right, the rounding up of 120,000 Japanese Americans. Moron. Should the government have gone along with that? Guess what? The country didn't go along with Dred Scott. We had what's called a civil war, which effectively was the only way to overturn the Supreme Court, which basically ruled you can never get rid of slavery. It's what effectively it ruled. I think the decision was 6-2, 6-3. One of them may have recused himself, or they didn't have a full team of justices there. But whatever it was, that's the Trump theme running through it all. A taunt, a dare, a defiance of the law. That must certainly appeal to Trump's most fervent supporters, but it's not what the vast majority of Americans want. A Marquette Law School poll, national survey released May 22, found that 79% of 1,004 people asked said that Trump should obey federal court orders. Okay, is that how you ask the question? How about this question? Should federal district judges obey the Constitution and rule within their districts as opposed to national orders? I think we'd win that one big, Mr. Producer, don't you? So this guy's a phony, a fraud, a moron, Chris Brennan, on X, formerly known as Twitter, a USA Today columnist. What do you have, 3 brain cells to rub together? That makes you a USA Today columnist? Many people think USA Today is sort of an adult coloring book, you know, Mr. Producer? Lots of color, little substance, and to the extent there's substance, you get morons like Chris Brennan. Right now, we have a judicial tyranny growing in our country. A judicial tyranny. By the way, folks, is everybody out there today? I hope so. Hope you had a great weekend. I hope you remembered our heroes who passed away defending everything we stand for here. We stand on their shoulders. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and you have a great week. May I just suggest that early on you go over to Amazon, pre-order your copy of On Power, where I cover all this and 1,000 other things that you're going to find very compelling. The book, I agree, comes out in 2 months. We're going to launch it on Hannity's show. We're going to have a full Levin show Sunday night on it, too. I want you to have it in front of you. I want you to see what a game changer it is if enough people have it and look at it, read it. And it's not a gossip book like this Jake Tapper book, which is shocking to me. Even conservative TV shows keep promoting this book. This guy shouldn't be making a nickel off of what he did. But I don't write books about myself. The one book we did was Rescuing Sprite, but even then it was about our doggies. But every other book I write is not a Mark Levin memoir or how-to book or what I learned going to 7-Eleven, stuff like that. It's not that. These books are for you. And if you put them on your shelf, you can use them on a regular basis and so forth. But when you sit at the dinner table, on the breakfast table, on the weekends, when you're with family and friends, you can engage on a level that will be really eye-opening to them. Very, very important. And I don't do this because let's all go to college again, or those who haven't gone to college, let's go to college. No. I do it because I'm pulling together principles, philosophy, and I'm applying them to what's taking place in our country and in the world today. And these books, whether it's Liberty and Tyranny, American Marxism, and so forth, they become almost iconic. Either people quote them and give them attribution, or they take words and phrases and arguments out of them. But this is for you, our special relationship. And I tell you from a financial position, if you pre-order a book up until the day it's released, if they drop the discount to 20%, 50%, whatever it is, and then raise it to 10%, you get the best discount they offer from today to January 29th. It always gets to be a bigger and bigger discount. I'm just telling you the trade, how it works. But I know this book is for you, and I know you're going to love it. Just grab it. You can pre-order it. And by the way, Father's Day is around the corner. You can put a little note in the card to your father, your grandfather, your husband, and just tell them the book's on the way. And the minute it comes out, you will have it at your doorstep.